Hi, I'm Leon Charney, and this is the Leon Charney Report. And we are reporting to you now from Chicago, the home of the Democratic Convention 1996, where Bill Clinton and Al Gore will be nominated to be president and vice president to lead the Democratic Party to a victory. 4 more years as they will be shouting in this auditorium. You will hear it over and over. Again, we are not here to bring you the current news. You'll have seen the current news on C-SPAN and CNN, on all the networks. We're here to show you what is happening behind the scenes. Now, in interest of full disclosure, I must tell you that I was appointed as a delegate to this convention about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and I'm here as a delegate in addition to being a television moderator. You will not see editorializing from me concerning the Democratic ticket or the Republican ticket. We're going to give you some objective feelings of a lot of participants to show you what it feels like to be at this convention, to make believe that you are sitting here in my place. And please bear in mind that although I am a delegate, this will be a non-political show. We have many interviews to show you. One thing that we're obsessed by is why Jimmy Carter has not appeared at this convention and will not appear at this convention. Many people will give you many different facts and ideas and who knows what, excuses. The real reason is that Bill Clinton does not like Jimmy Carter and probably did not want to have his face here, and he gave him a half-welcome invitation to come, and he did not come. He's out in Montana with Ted Turner, the owner of CNN, and he is, I think, fly fishing. But what we are going to do is ask a lot of formidable Democrats why they think he has not been invited, and watch very closely for the answers you'll get. It'll be fascinating. We'll be back after a commercial break to continue with our journey. In addition to Elliot Rose, our terrific producer, we have an associate producer with us today, and his name is Vincent Monti, and he will be assisting Elliot, and sometimes you'll even see him on camera. He's a very tall guy, and he looks a little bit like Gregory Peck. We'll be back.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Billy Ray Cyrus, ladies and gentlemen. Billy Ray Cyrus.
We're back. We're on the floor of the Democratic Convention in Chicago, talking to the Attorney General of Connecticut. And guess what? He's a Jewish boy.
Dick Blumenthal.
Dick Blumenthal. You know, we've heard a lot about Jewish people making inroads. I hate to tell you this, but the mayor of Indianapolis, Goldsmith, is a Republican. He probably become the first Republican Jewish governor of Indiana.
That's great.
And now you can become the first Jewish governor of Connecticut.
Well, actually, Abe Ribicoff was the first Jewish governor of Connecticut. and was the first Jewish senator. But we are making inroads. We have milestones. There's real progress. And I think it's a testament to the great contributions of people like Abe Ribicoff, Joe Lieberman, and others who have now increased the number of Jewish leaders, elected leaders throughout the nation.
I think there's a disproportionate amount of Jewish people involved in politics versus the amount of population we have. You agree?
I think that
how many Jewish senators we
people who are Jews by their background, their family upbringing, tend to be activists, tend to be contributors to the community, and eventually that leads many of them to be involved in politics.
I was counsel to a U.S. senator from 1970 to 1976, Vance Hartke of Indiana.
Right.
At that time, there were only 2 Jewish senators, Javits and Ribicoff. Today, I believe there are about 10, am I right?
I believe so.
And about 20, 25 congressmen.
That's right, or more now.
And the Jewish population is about, what, 2% of the population?
About that. I believe it's 2.5, 2.8, correct. So I think that both in the sense of numbers of elected officials and also contributions and influence, and particularly because people of our faith tend to vote and to contribute, they exercise a very large influence.
Hope to see you with the inauguration. They're going to play a tikva right now.
Thank you.
This is all the Jewish people here. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're back. You remember Jim Florio, the former governor of New Jersey, was on our show 1 hour. He mapped out a beautiful plank. Unfortunately, the voters didn't say it was right. Jim, what do you do now?
Well, I teach at Rutgers University. I have a little law firm that I've started in the state. I do a whole lot of pro bono things as well, but I'm enjoying myself.
Boxes too?
I will. You got one? You got a good contender?
How about politics?
Well, maybe in the future. And this year, all I'm doing is focusing on the president. I feel very strongly about the importance of this election to, in a sense, set a path for us that is the direct opposite of what sort of the Gingrich approach is. And I feel strongly that we have to win this election for the president.
You're very close to Bill Clinton.
Very, very close.
He's gonna win in New Jersey?
Well, he and I worked together when he was a governor.
I know that.
And then Vice President Gore and I served on the same committee in the Congress many, many years ago. So I'm comfortable with their whole approach to things.
I saw Bill Bradley and he told me he's going to sweep New Jersey.
Oh, no question about it.
Is that right?
What is happening is that Republican women are walking away from Senator Dole on the issue of choice, on the issue of the environment, and on the issue of legitimate restrictions on firearms.
Christy Whitman, how's she doing?
Well, at this point it's been fairly good for her, but it's starting to turn around. It's turning around because property taxes are going up, school aid is going down, tuition costs are going up. We're starting to find out there's no free lunch.
It's tough to give tough medicine, isn't
That's
it?
true, that's true.
Jim, pleasure to see you again.
Nice to see you again
My
as well.
pleasure.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Charney for Leon Charney reporting. We're talking to James Carvell, the architect of the 1992 victory of President Clinton. How come you're not on a train, Jim?
Well, because I'm here visiting with all these people, having a good time. Drinking, a lot of free whiskey and, getting my picture taken with a lot of beautiful women.
You missed the train and all? Missed the action?
No, been having a good time.
Jim, President Carter's not been invited to this convention. As a Southerner, you think that's a slight?
Well, I think what he said was he didn't want to come. But I'm not aware of what happened or anything else, but I don't think that he said that there'd never been an incumbent Democrat since that, and he decided not to come.
But you're a good Democrat. You know he's a former president.
If he would have wanted to come, he endorsed Governor Clinton very early in the campaign. Governor Clinton has used him very effectively on any number of foreign policy missions. Well, they're very close. Somebody's always going to find something negative about anything.
Right, give me
you can come out here and have a great time. You'll find one thing that's wrong.
Give me a fearless forecast. How many points is Clinton going to win by?
271 electoral votes. We'll get one more than we need.
Is that going to affect your marriage?
Hadn't yet. I hope it doesn't. No, I love my wife no matter what. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Yes, as Democrats are broadly supportive of Clinton. That doesn't make it a Clinton party rather than a Democratic Party, but I would have to say that we're backing him all the way, and I've not heard murmurings in the Georgia delegation about this question.
Which I think is a very sensitive issue. Why aren't they murmuring? We'll be back after commercial break to continue our investigative report of where is Jimmy Carter, aside from fly fishing in Montana. Why is he a ghost here? Secretary Raya, 10 million jobs. You made every one for every American. Give me a prediction on the bond market. That's more important.
I can't do that. Unfortunately, there are only two kinds of people when it comes to predicting the stock market: those who don't know and those who don't know they don't know. And I'm in the first category. But I can tell you that the record so far in terms of this economy, job growth, unemployment down, no sign of wage push inflation, budget deficit cut by more than half. You could not want a better economic picture. We still have challenges ahead in terms of making sure that everybody participates in this good economy and everybody has the opportunity to get a good job. And we're on that road right now, but you could not want a better economic picture.
Well, you're a great libertarian. You're known for your liberal views. Is there a tug-of-war now for the Democratic Party between the Mario Cuomos and the Jesse Jacksons and your administration?
I don't sense any tug-of-war at all. This is a very big party. There is obviously always going to be a debate going on, but we are absolutely united in our goals and our objectives, where we want to go in terms of making sure that every hardworking person and everybody who's willing to work hard has an opportunity to make it in this society.
Thank you
and that's
much.
The principle that unites all of us.
See you back in Harvard.
I'll see you.
We're here with Senator Paul Simon of Illinois, one of the great senators in the Senate. I believe you're going out, Senator, huh?
I'm retiring at the end of this year. That is correct.
Any reason?
Well, I've been in Washington 22 years now, and I see some of my colleagues staying on too long. I can see it in others. I don't know that I would see it in myself.
Senator, you and I know I did some work on Camp David. President Carter was very strong there. Why is he not at this convention, and should he be? Well, the relationship between Jimmy Carter and Bill Clinton has not been a good one, unfortunately. I think it would have been a great thing to have him here. I would have welcomed him here. I think no ex-president, with the possible exception of John Quincy Adams, has contributed as much as Jimmy Carter. But Jimmy Carter is supporting Bill Clinton. This does not mean a split in the party. Our show has a particular interest in the Middle East, and I know that you've had a strong interest in the Middle East. You were a good friend of Yitzhak Rabin. You know Shimon Peres. I'm sure you know Bibi Netanyahu. Give me your gut feeling about what's happening over there today. Well, let me give you a little more than a gut feeling. I was just over in Israel for a week, and had I been a resident and citizen of Israel, I would have voted for Shimon Peres and campaigned for him. But I met with the Prime Minister, and among other things, he asked me the same question you asked me: why are you leaving the Senate? And he talked about his future. Two Jewish minds, you know. and he said, among other things, he said, I know that history will judge me on what I do in the peace process. I felt very encouraged. Now, maybe he was just saying this to me because I'm a visiting American politician, but I don't think so. I think he is trying to satisfy his followers as much as he can so he doesn't lose his coalition. But I am cautiously optimistic that the new government in Israel is going to move in a positive direction on the peace process. I don't know if you've heard the news, but I have to disclose this. Asa Weitzman, who's a good friend of mine, I've been his lawyer, prodded Bibi Netanyahu to meet with Yasser Arafat on Monday, and he did that by inviting him to his own home in Caesarea. Wise move or not? Well, I think it is a wise move. I think anytime you have people in a potential conflict situation who get together and talk, it is helpful. And I might add, I am grateful to President Weizmann for initiating this move and moving things along. I'd be happy to hear that. Now, you're going out of the Senate with a Democratic president signing a welfare bill that basically takes children and et cetera, off the welfare rolls in 5 years. You're a pretty liberal guy. How are you feeling about that?
Well, I voted against it. I spoke against it. It's the worst bill to pass Congress in my 22 years in Congress. I think it was unfortunate. But I have to add, you have to judge Bill Clinton in the overall. And overall, his record is good. You have to also ask the question, what kind of appointees would you get to the United States Supreme Court from a Bob Dole or a Bill Clinton? And when you start examining these other questions, I think people come out on the side of Bill Clinton.
I was feeling the shadow of Hubert Humphrey a little bit when that bill was signed, but it was going the other way.
Yeah.
Hubert would never have done that.
Hubert would absolutely have voted with us in opposition to that bill. The Urban Institute says 2.6 million people will be added to the rolls of poverty, 1 million of them children.
Senator, what's in your future?
I'm going to teach at Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, head a public policy institute there.
What about Paul Simon for Secretary of State?
No, well, I think the president will be wiser than to make that move.
Paul, good to see you.
Thank you. Great to see you again. Thank you.
We're at the New York reception for Mayor David Dinkins, and what a beautiful sandwich I have. Carolyn Maloney, U.S. Congresswoman, who helped us tremendously with the show at WNYC. She was at the front of it. And Peter Malone, the Speaker of the City Council, who really helped after Carolyn failed because he had to get us on WNYE, where you're seeing us right now for our first show. It's really commemorative. Who do we start first with, the Congress or the Speaker?
Seniority, the Speaker.
Seniority?
Speaker.
Peter, good convention, obviously, no strife, no rife. How does New York State look?
New York State looks pretty good because it comes to very clearly that it's the Democratic Party that, number one, cares about people, number two, really cares about money. Because it's funny for Republicans talking about block grants and cutting money down, but when they're talking about us paying the tab for it, that makes it a little bit different. And I think that President Clinton and the Democratic Party not only have a good chance of succeeding as the executive office, but very well take back our Congress and our Senate. And that's going to be very meaningful in the next 4 years.
You have a big local issue about term limitations.
They don't come any bigger than that, Leon, because New York City will be the only place in the country where every single elected official will be forced to leave at the same time.
Everybody will be wiped out.
Everybody wiped out. Republicans, Democrats, everybody. That's just people who want to see anarchy. That doesn't work. So we're going to try and fix it.
And you're trying to write a new proposition?
Yes, there'll be a new proposition on the ballot this November, which will make staggered terms, something that's a lot more sensible than everybody leaving at the same time.
So in other words, you don't wipe out everybody. When you do, you have a government that would know nothing.
Know nothing. A real know-nothing government. That's right.
Peter, good luck. We're going to help you with that. We think it's an important issue.
Thanks.
Carolyn Maloney, my dearest friend in the Congress, who helped us. Carolyn, are you happy with all the issues that have been resolved there at this convention? I had Paul Simon on, a senator of Illinois. He told me, and I know you've heard this 100 times, that the worst bill that he signed, or saw signed in his tenure as a senator, was the welfare bill. Sentiments on that?
Oh, absolutely. I'm very disappointed that he signed it, but he did veto 2 prior bills, and I certainly trust Bill Clinton more to correct it and to make it a more workable bill. He will be announcing, I understand, a grant of billions of dollars to invest in jobs and job training, which was one of the weaknesses of the bill. But in New York, as you know, we send so many more billions of dollars to Washington than what comes back. Now they're going to cap what comes back, and it's totally unworkable. They're not. They're demanding work within 2 years. Yet we have roughly a 5.2% unemployment rate now for skilled workers. So where are the jobs going to come?
Right? How far do you go?
I represent the east side of New York, from 96th Street down to Grand Street, and a portion of the west side. I also represent Greenpoint, Brooklyn, and Astoria, Queens.
All right. How is it going to affect New York? I mean, this is a very dangerous thing, isn't it? In New York City?
Oh, it is, but I trust that when we re-elect Bill Clinton and a Democratic Congress, we can change it and make it a more workable bill. But the main point is that we do have to re-elect the president. It's so important to New York. His policies are far more pro-family, pro-working families, pro-investments in the right way, not a across-the-board tax cut that puts a pot of gold in everyone's house or pocket, but it's targeted towards the things we need, education and expanding jobs to small businesses. And this is such an important election. It's just so important for so much that we care about. I truly believe that it has a tremendous impact on whether or not our children will be able to school, whether there'll be student loans, or whether or not...
You've got a beautiful daughter.
I know I do. Everyone has a beautiful child, and we have to make sure that we're able to educate them. And the Medicare cuts, that we'll be able to take care of our parents, that Medicare will be there. It's really transgenerational, whether or not the policies that protect our national heritage, the environment, will be there. It's a critical...
Mario Cuomo, our former governor, spoke last night. What do you think? 1 to 10, what do you give him?
Oh, I always give Mario a 10. He speaks with great feeling and great intelligence, and he's the father of New York, the former governor of the greatest city in the United States, probably in the world. But what he says is that we have to be unified. We wouldn't be Democrats if we didn't disagree. We always disagree. But we have to come together and elect this president, re-elect this president.
My final question. We're doing a poll on the feelings about the fact that Jimmy Carter is not at this convention. Should he be here or not?
Well, he was invited, but I learned a long time ago, Leon, not to speak for other public officials. They're perfectly capable of speaking for themselves. But I do know that we have to work together to make sure Bill Clinton is reelected, not so that we can go to another inaugural, but that the causes and concerns and issues that we believe in will be able to move forward in this country.
Carolyn Maloney, you've always been a help. She's been great to us. This show is being aired because of her assistance and a lot of other people that she's helped, especially the ethnic broadcasters. We owe a lot of debt to Carolyn. Let's send her to Congress for the next 20 years. If she wants it. We'll be back. We have Ruth Messenger, who is the borough president of Manhattan and is looking to become the mayor of the city of New York. Ruth,
Leon,
you want to be a mayor?
I do want to be a mayor.
Why?
Why? Well, you know, I was made for headaches and big challenges. No, seriously. This is a city that was really good to my family. My grandfather talks about growing up in New York, going to City College, becoming a principal of a public school. I mean, and that's sort of my grandfather, when he was principal, married the woman who was the kindergarten teacher in his school. That's what I come from. I love the city. I love its diversity. And I got into government almost by accident. And I have loved every minute of it. And so why not try to really make a difference?
Being a woman today, I think, helps in politics. Would you agree?
I think it helps a lot. There's an issue that people are not quite as ready to accept a woman as an executive, as a woman as a legislator. But we have to convince them differently.
Feinstein in San Francisco is the mayor?
Right. Oh, yes. If you want to list, Jane Byrne in this city in Chicago many years ago. Women in all the cities in Texas, Kathy Whitmire in Houston, Annette Strauss in Dallas. A lot of women. Good history. New York City's had 107 men mayors, so I think it's time for a woman.
What is the big issue for you in what's happening to the city today with Mayor Giuliani?
Well, not criticizing the mayor for a minute. For me, there are two big issues that aren't getting enough attention. One is education, and the other is economic development. If we really want to be able to deal with the city in the 21st century, we have to figure out where is business growing, where should government just get out of the way, and where can government be helpful? And what can we do so that as business expands in New York City, it's providing jobs to New Yorkers? I think that's the job of a mayor. I don't see the mayor doing any of that. And public education, I think the story is better known.
The mayor seems to be very involved in public safety. I think Mayor Koch called him a policeman on my show. He calls every day. I had Bill Bratton on, the former police commissioner. What do you think his record is on crime?
I think there's good news and not so good news. The good news is very clear. The crime rate has gone down. Every reason to believe the statistics. And I personally think that the mayor has something to do with it. But you know what? David Dinkins, Peter Vallone, Shelley Silver started Safe Streets, Safe Cities. They should get some of the credit. Rudy Giuliani should get some of the credit. Unfortunately, the most credit he should get is from appointing Bill Bratton, who really managerially shook up the department, held it more highly accountable, made it work better. And look where Bill Bratton is now, and look why.
He's running a private security firm in New York City.
One of the worst features of this mayor is there isn't room for anybody else who's successful in the same room with him. He got rid of Cortines, he got rid of Bratton, recently fired his Environmental Protection Commissioner with no notice. He pushed Carol Gresser out. He doesn't know how to share the credit, he doesn't know how to build a record that includes other people. And you can't do it alone in New York, and I understand that.
He's very nervous about the welfare bill that Clinton signed. He thinks it'll be a tremendous load on the city of New York and the borough of Manhattan. Any answers for that?
No, there are no easy answers. But it's actually one of the reasons that I mention education and economic development. Because if you want people to be able to go to work and become financially independent, we have to help grow the jobs, and we have to provide the training and the daycare. I don't see any plan from this mayor. I understand he's distressed. We're all distressed. I know that I lobby the president specifically. Please do not sign this bill. I will support you whatever you do,
all right,
but please do not sign this bill. I don't think the mayor was ever quite so clear, but now he's the mayor. Pataki's the governor. Why aren't they asking a lot of people into the tent to help do a New York plan? No, they have a task force. None of us are on it. Its deliberations are secret. That's a way of hurting a lot more children.
Ruth, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Leon. I enjoyed it.
You've just heard Ruth Messenger, one of the most articulate political figures in the city of New York, who is attempting to become the first Jewish women mayor of New York City. And in about 2 years, we'll know. We'll be back.
Thank you.
We're back with Charlie Rangel, who's practically a co-host on the Leon Charney Report, so we're not going to bother him too much. We're both delegates here, so we got to have full disclosure. Charlie, I just interviewed Jerry Nadler, and he's a little bit upset about the fact that a lot of money from the Clinton campaign and DNC is going a lot toward the presidency and not enough to congressmen and senators. And we know that there's a big push on to have a great man like you become the chairman of Ways and Means. What do you think about the cash?
Well, I think you spelled out my deep concern. I think now that the president has just bumped ahead in points, that he might think it's in his best interest to have the support of a strong Democratic majority. As you know, the president has been very cautious to have anything to interfere between him and his reelection. But as I see it, the Democratic National Committee has its primary responsibility to Clinton Gore. It is the Democratic Campaign Committee that has its obligation to raise funds for the Congress, and the president has been very, very generous in his time and his support. The problem that we have is that as a strategy, presidential campaigns, they don't put money into states that they've already won or states that they can't win. And so it means we may have congressional districts there that we can win. And so we're trying to work out how we can coordinate a combined campaign where the Congress people go into these districts and the presidential people help us to bring it out. I think to have the best effective last 4 years, because I really think for America, this bright young president, without all of the oversight of what he's going to do, that whether you're Republican or Democrat, you've got to be proud. Having a Democratic majority and people like me supporting him, it just seems to me it'll make it a heck of a lot easier than having a speaker like Gingrich around.
Charlie, you were very gracious about the nomination of Jack Kemp. I saw all your remarks. And you really personally like the guy, don't you?
I do, but let me be clear, Leon. I said Jack Kemp was not only a great football player, but he had the courage to stand up for unpopular causes within the Republican Party, especially those that dealt with what he would call the ideals of Lincoln. And that means equal opportunity. I was really shocked and surprised that in order to become vice president, that he had to drop. I don't see how you can say drop his beliefs, but he said he changed his mind. Leon, I'm a politician.
No.
But I don't see how you change your mind. You do what you have to do. If you say that's the contract, okay, I won't talk about it. But how do you change your mind about how you treat children that are born in the United States of America? We are talking about food and health services. How do you change your mind about affirmative action? I'm not saying that people can't give me a contract that I can't refuse, but I thought that Jack Kemp would at least found some way of saying, I'm holding on to my beliefs, but as a vice president supporting the president, I'm going to have to support his policy. He didn't say that. He said he changed his mind. So what does it leave me with? A great football player.
Charlie, how many interviews have you done about the welfare bill since you were at the convention?
A lot, but yours become easier when you say welfare bill. The difficult interviews have been when people say, why are you against welfare reform? And I said, who, me? I'm for welfare reform. But like President Clinton said, you can put wings on a pig, but you can't call it an eagle. And this is still a pig. But it's sad that the president
really
felt
hurts you.
compelled.
I see it. We've done a lot of interviews with you, Charlie. It's an emotional issue.
You know, the reason is, it's a complex issue. It needed change. It wasn't working. It wasn't working for the kids. It wasn't working for the mothers, the cities, the governors. And it should have been changed a long time ago. But to call it reform because you're saying, I quit, let's see what the states can do. To call it reform when you don't give the states the money to do it. To call it reform when you mandate that after 2 years, you got to be cut off. I say cut them off in 2 days if you got a job. But there's no consideration. If after 2 years there's no jobs, you play by the rules. That's not the United States of America that I know. And so who's being punished? I mean, was it a kid who didn't get a job? I mean, a child is going to disappear? That's not us. But we can't change politically the fact that it now goes back to the states. But what the president can do, and it'd be easier with a Democratic Congress, is to not look at the $60 billion in savings, because there'd be a hell of a lot more in expenditures, but provide the training and the jobs so that people don't have to really.
Well, we're dependent on his understanding and goodwill of the president.
Well, I don't know whether we can ever get the support of a Newt Gingrich, but I would say that with Dick get involved, I think that we would be able to do it.
Charlie, I see you on the floor tonight.
I'll be there, buddy. Thank you.
That's it. Charlie Erangel, the most articulate member, one of the most articulate members of the congressional delegation from New York City, New York State. Excuse me. Guess what happened? On our way to the convention, we came by and saw Bill Clinton standing outside with a saxophone. What are you doing here, Bill?
Well, the train got in early. Yeah, Amtrak got in early, if you can believe that. But it actually did, and I'm glad to be here because I wanted to come by and do some extra lobbying to make sure that I get enough nominating votes tonight. I mean, Ralph Nader's putting up a fight.
How's the saxophone business doing?
It's been good. It's been good. you know, people keep accusing me of inhaling, but I don't inhale, I blow. I wouldn't have, except it might attract too many of the...
What happens if you lose the election? You're going to be a sax player?
Well, you see, that's why we've been pushing this minimum wage increase. I'm looking out for number one.
What about your running mate? How's Hillary doing with you, by the way? You getting along?
Yeah, I mean, she came up early. She was on the train for a couple days with me, but you know, I mean, any couple cooped up together in one of those little roomettes on Amtrak. I mean, one of us had to go.
A friend of mine here has an investment. It's called Whitewater. You want to go in again?
Can I get back to you on that? Hey, you know, if you want to come up, we got an extra seat in the presidential skybox because apparently Susan McDougal's not going to be using hers. So if you want to come up and join us, you're welcome.
What do you think about justice in Arkansas?
Oh, justice in Arkansas. That's used to be an oxymoron, but anyway. I don't know. You know, I tried talking to my friends about it, but they only get one phone call a day now. So.
Now, be honest with me. Are you sorry you never went into the Army and served in Vietnam?
To tell you the truth.
Is that hard to tell me the truth?
Can I get back? Well, back to you. No, actually, the real answer about military service is, have you ever taken a walk across the White House front lawn lately? I think I've been in the line of fire plenty of times. Have you ever upset Hillary when she's got a vase in her hand? I've been in the line of fire plenty of times.
So you think that's national service?
I believe so. Works for me.
It's good to see you.
Thank you very much.
See you at the inauguration.
All right. Thank you very much. That's all I know. Sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, only in America can you see the President of the United States performing with a saxophone outside the convention center before he's nominated. Great tunes. He's got talent. We'll be back. This is the voice of NYC, who is no longer NYC. Bonnie, how many times have you been on the convention floor?
This is my second time. I just got here, and I'm really excited to be here.
Why?
Why am I excited to be here? Because I'm excited about Bill Clinton getting reelected, and I think it's fun to be here to support him, to support the Democratic Party.
She's the most beautiful person we've had on camera in 2 days. We'll let her go. I know she's in a rush to get to close friends. Kadadi, you want to say anything about women in America today?
I think the Democratic Party is the only party to support if you're a woman. They're the only party that really cares about choice and the whole women's movement on the whole. And I think it's a disgrace that the Republican platform will not take choice, will not put choice in their platform.